Greetings, I'm Pillar Nexus Ancient Gladiator with more Pillar Loves tabletop games. Today with Eclipse, New Dawn for the Galaxy. A game of exploring space and taking over planets and having your population make more money and science and materials. And building ships and customizing ships, discovering things, fighting ancient ships, and ultimately your opponents as you try to get to um, places that will give you the most points at the end. So let's go over it one little bit at a time. You'll have your faction, which will either be on one side or the other. The factions in the main game are tied to colors. There's some expansion factions that are not tied to a color, so when you get your color, you can decide to play one of those other factions instead. But in general, for your first game, you'll probably want to play with the Terran factions. There's like 6, 7 different Terrans because apparently humans can't get their shit together. And alternatively, you can play as the aliens. For this side, we've got Orion Hegemony. And they start out with shields because they're bastards. But regardless, you'll have a starting world where these squares are empty. You can colonize, and those will take cubes off your production track, and you'll start getting that every turn. Where it shows stars, you're going to need the advanced technology to do it. Advanced mining, advanced economy, advanced labs. So, internalize. You will have a track full of discs so that whenever you take an action or colonize a planet or take over a region of space, you'll assign these discs to them to show that you're taking the action or you're taking control. And the more you do, the more it's going to cost you money during the production step. When it does get to the production step, you're going to have to compare what you're making versus what you're spending. If you're at a negative, you better have the money or you better have resources for your trade to make up for it. If you don't have enough, you're at risk of bankruptcy for your empire. You're going to have to start abandoning control to start reducing the cost. And then if you actually screw up enough to go bankrupt, I've actually never seen it happen. Yeah. You'll just count your score and return all your shit to the box, and that's it for you. Really, really, don't be stupid with your spending. Come on. So over the course of the game, you can move your ships. So I got the ship pack 1 precisely so I could take the old ships from this game and use them for something else. So we've got the Orion Hegemony stuff. We have star bases. Star bases cannot move. They can never have drives installed upon them. We have the Dreadnought, which is expensive, but it can be loaded up with all sorts of stuff. The Cruiser, which is reasonably priced for what it does. And the Interceptor, which is little but cheap. And it attacks first. unless it's going up against a starbase, which has higher initiative than anything. So moving, you'll go from one hex to the next. If you're going into like empty space, depending on where it is, if you're going along the same ring as your player factions, it will draw a stack 2 tile. If you're going into the back regions, away from the center of the galaxy, I believe you're drawing stack 3 card or tile. If you're going close to the inside of the galaxy, towards the center, you're drawing from stack 1. Yeah. It's possible to find planets that have, or find regions of space with the gray planets, which can be taken from anything. You'll have colonization ships that you can flip over, and those will let you take a cube from your track and put them on the planet. If it's a gray planet, you can take it from any track. Some will show this kind of square with a rounded off edge. That's your discovery tile, and it'll let you get a tile that you can either commit it to points at the end of the game or immediately use it for its power. There's no in between. You gotta decide. And some places have wormholes, which can be used to go from one to the next. It's worth noting when actually traveling, you'll have to cross from one half circle to the next half circle. There are certain technologies that let you go across the half circles if something's not connected properly. It's a wormhole generator. It's super expensive, very late game. And then if there are ancients or opponents there, which will be represented on the map by a skull symbol, you will have to fight one of these. So, actual combat stats. The arrows represent initiative. The more of them, the sooner they go. Each little colored square with a dot in there represents 1 die. They'll roll 2 yellow dice, and if they hit, they'll do 1 damage. A ship can take an amount of damage equal to its hull plus 1. There's the targeting computer, which is a number in the white square. This is a plus 1. So normally a roll of 1 always misses. A roll of 6 always hits. A modified total of 6 or more hits. So if they roll a 5, their plus 1 will make it a 6 and they'll hit. Yellow starburst is a hull, so it'll take 2 damage to take them out. Other ship things. As I showed on their side earlier, the black number represents a shield, so that makes it harder for them to be hit. And then the number in a lightning bolt represents their power source. Every ship is going to need to have a power source to do anything. It powers weapons, powers better computers and shields, it powers the drive that lets them move. Star bases have a power system already built into them, which is nice. Drives are how you actually move. Every ship needs to have a drive. Star bases can never have one. Um, and then over the course of the game, as you're getting technologies that let you do it, you can upgrade. For every one of these shown, you can take basic upgrade parts or advanced upgrade parts based on your technologies. Most of them are represented on this board. Like better shields, better computers, better drives, better cannons, improved hull, better sources, plasma missiles. So another thing in the combat side of things is having missiles lets you, before cannons shoot, everyone gets, people will get a chance to fire off their missiles. And missiles can only be used once per combat. Because after everyone gets to go through their combat turns, it'll go back to the start. And then there won't be a second chance to do the missiles. They are very nasty. Yeah, there's also building. So again, star bases generally cost 3. Dreadnoughts generally cost 8. Cruisers generally cost 5. Interceptors generally cost 3. You have a very limited number of pieces. This is not like the Twilight Imperium, where you can have like a gigantic horde of fighters and other ships. You have to be very strategic. There's also building orbitals and monoliths if you have the technology for it. Orbitals give you a way to get more science and money. Monoliths are just worth points at the end. There's research. Over the course of the game, various tiles will be available for people to purchase. Most of them are going to go into a specific slot. The ones that are show a negative means you'll save on the research. Eventually you'll have enough technology that you'll get bonus points at the end of the game for developing that far. Influence. I believe you have to put 2 here, and it lets you recover. No, I think it lets you use your colony ships, or lets you recover. I'm trying to remember exactly what it does. Yeah, place influence disc can flip colony ships up. So the way that'll work is, yeah. There we go. Influence. So when you do that, you can move up to 2 influence discs from your track, or from a hex where you have an influence disc. 2 a hex that doesn't contain an influence disc or an enemy ship, and is adjacent to where you have a disc or ship. So that's how you actually get to put stuff out. And then 2 a hex where you only have a ship, or back to your influence track. During the influence action, you can also turn your ships up. Yeah. If you ever remove a disc from a hex, all the cubes go back. So that's something to keep in mind. And then finally there's, there we go. Oh yeah, it's also possible to have diplomatic relations with adjacent players. You'll give them one of yours, they'll give you one of theirs. And then you can take a population cube off your track and have more stuff to get out of it. If you ever move your ships to a hex where another player has a disc or a ship, it's considered an attack. You'll take the trader card, which is a -2 at the end of the game. And you'll lose the ambassador tile. Yeah. Of course, they'll lose they'll lose your ambassador tile as well. So there's that. And finally, this action is explore. So yeah, actually, that's right. You cannot move to stuff that's not explored. You have to explore it first. You'll take a hex from the appropriate pile and place it adjacent to where you have a ship or a disc. And if it has a discovery, so yeah, if it has a discovery symbol, it will get one of those discovery tiles. In Ancient, it'll have one of those too. Yeah. I believe one of the expansions adds like some really nasty ancient stuff like cruisers, and the center of the map also has like this ancient defense system that gets replaced by an ancient dreadnought. So, yeah, as long as there's an ancient there, nobody can take the discovery tile or colonize it. And yeah, that's pretty much the actions. When you're done taking actions, you can pass. When you pass, you're in this mode. If it comes back to you, you have the option to react. You won't be able to do as much, but at least it's something. And then yeah. Oh yeah, combat doesn't actually get to happen until everyone has done their moves. So it's possible to have to be in a state of being pinned, where it takes for every ship they have, and one of your ships is stuck there, you could potentially move the excess ships, which is nice. There's the upkeep phase where you actually get to use any remaining colony ships, pay an upkeep, and get your income off of your track. And then you return your discs from your actions back to your track, and then there'll be new tactiles, and then the game goes one extra round. The game can go for 9 rounds at most. And then the expansion adds some stuff like a variable turn order system. So it's like as players pass, the first player to pass is going to go first next turn. And so on and so forth. The old style is just the first player who passes gets to go next first, and it still goes clockwise anyway. So eventually you'll get to the end of the game, and you'll count up your points. You'll get points for controlling areas of the galaxy, like your homeworld, or places you explore. You'll get points for hitting certain levels of technology. You'll get points for having ambassadors of your opposing players. Of course, they'll get points too. You'll have points for monoliths and discovery tiles that you choose not to cash in, or worth 2 points. And you also get victory point tokens if you choose to fight in combat. How that'll work is as you getting into combat, for even getting into combat, you'll take 1 tile as long as you don't retreat. Destroying enemy ships will get you more tiles. And then out of those tiles, of all the tiles you draw to a maximum of 5, you'll take 1 of them and store it face down where you can store those tiles. Reputation. Those, you'll finally flip those up and score those. If you ever get more of these than you can hold, you can replace your lower level ones for higher level ones. But only if you actually get them. So yeah, reputation, ambassador, hexes, discovery, monoliths, progress, and then if you have the trader card, you're at a -2. Most points wins. Tiebreaker. Did they remember to put in a tiebreaker? Total amount of resources that you have in storage, with again another freaking tracker instead of counters. Although for this game, it almost makes more sense. And then there's expansion stuff like mutations and what else? There's time travel craziness and whatever the hell these are. That just go around the universe and proceed to wreck everything. Anomalies, yeah. Yeah. This game, when you've got all the bells and whistles, has a lot to it. And it's pretty freaking cool. Why do I love this game? Probably because it's such a different approach to the space conquest kind of game. It's how the hell do I put this? You know, it's partly because of the fact that it does things so differently in the first place that it's like I kind of have to take notice and really check out everything. Then you have more of a more variety in how you can actually score during the game. There's no secret, sneaky objectives to achieve. It's just a fairly straightforward system of you see it as points, you get it as points, you know. And I think the big thing that brought me to this game is the ship customization system. Rather than having 8 different ships that do 8 different things, you have 4 things, and you can alter it as you need it. But you have to get the technology first. The technology system is pretty cool too, for having that progressive discount of the higher you get into that technology, the cheaper you can make things up to a certain limit. Things that cost like 10, 12, 14, 16, you can bring them down to almost half that, depending on where you are. And yeah, it's just really interesting to have that. So, this game currently has a second edition that I'm not sure what all comes with it. Just that it's stupid expensive for a game, and I haven't seen anyone else with a copy, so I was very glad that I got this copy from used from the game store that I go to, and I'll have to show my appreciation by actually running the game sometime. But yeah, let's Eclipse, New Dawn for the Galaxy. If you can, find a copy, play it, love it, and have fun. Have fun exploring space, and for crying out loud, don't screw up your finances. This has been Pillar Nexus Ancient Gladiator. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time.